Welcome to RISKSA TV. We're here at the first day of the Insurance Conference 2014 at Sun City, and we're speaking to Lloyds Deputy Chairman, Paul Jardine. Welcome and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
In your discussion this morning, you told us that global underinsurance is a major challenge facing the industry. What is the extent of the problem?
I think if you looked at it from a Lloyds perspective, in 2011, in a year where there were billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars of catastrophes, a tiny fraction of that was insured, which means that communities, businesses, countries don't recover as fast as they should following a major event. And remember, insurers are normally the first to arrive following a major disaster. They get there before the UN, they get there before governments and NGOs. So we think that there's a pressing need for further insurance purchase around the globe so that communities, businesses, individuals can carry on and rebuild their lives as quickly as possible. I think if you look across the globe, the difference between the most insured and the least insured countries, in the best insured countries, nearly half of natural catastrophes are recoverable from the insurance industry. In the most underinsured, it's less than 7%. That's an inefficient use of people's savings in those countries, and it means that the process to rebuild lives, rebuild communities is incredibly slow and fraught. And so we believe that if we can sell the value of our product, we have a real social value as insurers. Actually, that will improve the lives of millions of people around the world.
And how do you recommend that people go about selling this value?
Well, I think as an industry, quite frankly, over time, we've not been good enough at selling the social value of what we do. Most people's experience of insurance is probably a bad one. We've all had the horror stories of our motor claim or our household claim that took months and months and months to actually settle and get the funds back. So I have a passionate belief that we demonstrate value through service. When bad things happen to our client, we just have to be there for them and be there quickly. For small businesses around the world, and remember, particularly if I look at an African context, the generation and development of entrepreneurial businesses and small businesses is crucial to the future of this great continent. We have to be there quickly. Cash flow is absolutely vital to a small business, and cash flow post a loss is even more important. So it's all about claims. It's about how we pay claims and how fast we pay them. If we do that, people will believe that the promises that we make are actually real.
Absolutely. On the note of Africa, you write business in more than 40 African countries. Are you seeing any trends emerging here?
Well, as I said this morning, I think, for me, Africa will be an economic powerhouse. The IMF, the estimates of GDP growth range from 9 to 15%. The next 10 to 15 years, we'll probably see the most robust growth anywhere in the world. We'll see it here in Africa. So we're seeing vast infrastructure investment. Angola, for example, 75 billion worth of infrastructure investment in the next 10 years. And weak infrastructure, quite frankly, has held Africa back. You only have to look at China, or the difference between China and India, where China has phenomenal infrastructure. You see the pace of growth, the pace of development, and what that translates into, quite frankly, is better living standards. And that's absolutely the focus in Africa, and that's the trend that we see. The real thing where we believe that Lloyds can help is that we have risk expertise in the classes of business that will become demanded by businesses and individuals as we go forward, and that's the kind of trend that we like to see.
I'm sure. Looking specifically at South Africa and the Lloyds Risk Index, for South Africa, natural catastrophes right at the bottom of that list and loss of customers at the top of it. What does that tell you about the South African market?
I think there's a fear here. Although South Africa as a country, I think, fared incredibly well post the world financial crisis, and I think there are some tougher times ahead. And I think businesses all over the world were worried about recession, about falling demand and the uncertainty that that creates. I think natural catastrophes are almost ignored. They haven't happened. The big quake hasn't happened through the Rift Valley, and therefore it's something that may never happen. And people talk about 1 in 100-year events and think it's off into the next century. The reality is that as we see greater population density, as you see greater urbanization, major catastrophes will happen. They'll just have a much bigger impact. But I think that people tend to focus on the here and now. They don't focus on the fat tail or the black swan, and we think that is a very dangerous way to carry out your business life.
Well, hopefully you've inspired them to think about that. You also mentioned that a major challenge for this industry is remaining relevant. Firstly, Lloyd's 326-year-old market, how are you doing that?
Well, I think we've always had a reputation for paying claims. As I said earlier on, I think that's the absolute key to making sure that we add value and we are relevant. But quite frankly, we have to listen to our customers. As I said this morning, we sell an intangible product. It's not a luxury product. People do not get out of bed every Saturday morning and jump in the air and say, yippee, I'm going to buy insurance. They buy cars and holidays and coats and everything else under the sun, but they don't buy insurance. And we need to be able to cover the risks that our clients are facing. And the world is becoming more complex and more uncertain, and we have to innovate and provide true risk transfer. Fair policies at fair prices, and when bad things happen to our clients, we've got to be there for them. That way we'll stay relevant, and if we lose sight of that, quite frankly, we become an irrelevance because we're not doing the job that insurance is made for.
What about the rest of the insurance industry remaining relevant?
Well, I think insurers have got bad press. I see it in a UK context where, quite frankly, we've had instances where insurance has been sold for volume commission and not for the protection of the person buying the product. I think we need to get back to basics. As I said this morning, underwriters need to be underwriters, and we need to provide products that our clients want to buy and want to buy through time. I suppose the reality is, unless our customers have claims, they have no need for our product. So we are experts in dealing with risk and uncertainty, and we have to continually do that, understand our clients' businesses, have products that suit their needs, and really transfer their risks to us, and partner with them for long-term relationships.
Absolutely. Your thoughts on the conference in general here?
My first time at this conference, and this is a very honest and open answer, I have been astounded. I don't think I've ever been anywhere in the world where I've seen, one, the size of audience, two, the friendliness of people. I've met some amazing people over the last couple of days. This has been inspiring, and I hope that my colleagues from the Lloyds market that came down here, many of whom have come to Africa for the first time, they'll go home and tell their colleagues in London that they should be here. As I said this morning, I have a fundamental belief that this is a people business. This is about long-term relationships and trust, and that only gets built through coming to see people, talking to people, and being consistent through time. I have been blown away by this conference, and I shall be back next year.
That is wonderful, and we're thrilled that you could join us. Thank you very much. For RISKSA TV, I'm Christy van der Merwe.